This is how Harley-Davidson built their most controversial bikes, by hand inside a 1970s factory that never stopped moving. It was loud, it was gritty, and it was pure American industry. Welcome to the AMF-era Harley-Davidson factory in York, Pennsylvania, a plant born out of wartime manufacturing and reborn for the V-twin revolution. Long before computer-controlled robots or touchscreen diagnostics, motorcycles were built by calloused hands, hot steel, and pride. But this factory wasn't just about production. It was Harley's lifeline during one of its toughest eras, a response to quality issues, foreign competition, and financial pressure. And what happened inside? It's a masterclass in vintage craftsmanship. Raw steel stamped into tanks, frames welded by hand, engines assembled bolt by bolt, and every bike fired up and tested before it left the line. Today, we're going behind the scenes of that exact process, to show you step by step how Harley-Davidson motorcycles were made in the 1970s. And whether you love the AMF era or love to hate it, one thing's certain: they don't build them like this anymore. This is where each AMF era Harley begins its journey, with raw steel. Coils and sheets of American steel, fresh off freight trucks, are hauled into the metalworking bays by overhead cranes. The steel is thick and rugged, the kind that can take punishment. These sheets are then loaded into enormous mechanical presses, each one the size of a small garage. The sound is deafening. Each strike shakes the floor like thunder. These machines stamp out fenders, gas tanks, oil pans, and other body components in seconds. One after another, the parts slide out onto roller tables. Still warm, edges sharp. Workers line them up, measure them by hand, and send them to staging racks. If something looks wrong, if they're too thin or too warped, it's tossed aside without hesitation. There's no room for weak links. Next comes the frame, the backbone of the bike. In a long welding bay, tubes and brackets are clamped into jigs with surgical precision. Veteran welders, their gloves charred black, bend over their stations with MIG torches in hand. Sparks fly. The hiss of molten metal fills the air. Unlike today, no robots are used here. It's all done by people. Each weld is hand-laid, bead by bead, ensuring the angles are just right, the joints strong enough to carry 600 pounds of chrome, oil, and steel. One mistake in geometry here and the whole machine could ride crooked. But nothing rolls until it passes inspection. In a quieter area of the factory, frames are checked with measuring arms, squares, and visual inspections. Workers run fingers over welds, check tolerances with micrometers. They grind down imperfections, rework bad seams, and make sure every angle is square. Only when a frame is true does it move forward, to paint. And this is where York shows off. You're now entering the plant's $1 million paint system, the most advanced setup Harley-Davidson had ever used, and maybe the most advanced anywhere in the motorcycle industry at the time. At the heart of it is the Ransburg electrostatic painting system. It uses rotating and reciprocating discs to apply paint evenly and quickly. No overspray, no pooling. The discs spin at thousands of RPMs, flinging charged paint particles toward grounded parts. It looks like something from a science lab, and it works beautifully. This system handles single coat and double coat jobs with ease. It puts down a clear lacquer top coat over mylar trim, sealing it in and protecting it from wear. No more peeling tank decals, no more faded pinstripes, just a flawless finish. The painted parts move through drying ovens and then cool in a controlled area. Workers inspect every inch, checking for dust, drips, or uneven texture. If it's not perfect, it's stripped and redone. No shortcuts, not here. Meanwhile, on the far side of the plant, something else is coming together: the engine. This is the shovelhead V-twin, the beating heart of Harley-Davidson. Engine assembly happens in its own section, quieter, cleaner, and more focused. Crankcases are laid out like pieces of art. Bearings are pressed in, crankshafts are lowered into place, and pistons are fitted with fresh rings. Each engine is hand-assembled by skilled workers who know exactly what a healthy motor should feel like. They torque every bolt by hand, check end play and backlash, and time the cams with feeler gauges, not computer screens. Once sealed up, the engines are tagged and prepped for the final line. Now, everything comes together on the assembly line. The frame rolls in. Swing arms go on first. Forks are mounted up front. Wheels are slid into place and aligned. Bit by bit, the skeleton takes shape. And then comes the marriage, when the motor and frame become one. A small crew lifts the engine into the cradle and bolts it in place. Wiring follows, painstakingly routed to avoid vibration or heat. Oil tanks are mounted. Handlebars, cables, brake lines, battery. Each component has a home, and it all has to fit perfectly. Workers are on strict schedules, but you never know it from the calm on the floor. There's no yelling, no chaos, just a flow, because the line never stops. That's one of the plant's proudest achievements: work continuity. At York, the line runs for a full 8-hour shift, non-stop. Lunch breaks, staggered. Coffee breaks, rotated. The bikes never stop moving. The sound of progress is constant, and at the end of that line is the final inspection. This isn't some casual glance over. Every bike is examined from headlight to tailpipe, fluids checked, bolts torqued again, electrical systems tested, and finally, the moment of truth, the first ignition. The motorcycle is wheeled into a designated test area at the end of the assembly line. A technician approves, clipboard in hand. He checks every fluid one last time. Oil, gas, brake, primary. Connections are double-checked. The battery's got juice. Then he slides a key into the ignition switch and turns it to the on position. The gauges flicker. The tech grabs the starter button, presses it, and just like that, the shovelhead V-twin barks to life. It coughs once, then settles into a deep, uneven idle. A slow, heavy rumble like boots stomping on hardwood. The tech listens closely, ears trained by years of experience. He's not just checking if it runs, he's feeling for smooth throttle response, listening for odd ticks or knocks, watching the engine shake in its mounts. If something doesn't sound right, the bike comes off the line and the diagnosis begins. But if it passes this stage, and most do, it's time for the dyno. Dyno testing is where the factory puts the bike through simulated riding conditions. The motorcycle is clamped onto a massive rolling drum. It stays in place, but the engine and wheels think they're on the open road. The technician runs through every gear, watching speed, RPMs, and torque output. The goal isn't just to confirm function, but to identify any abnormal vibrations, gear whine, or clutch slippage. They check the brakes, the throttle, the shift feel, all of it. After the dyno comes the final road test. Yes, each motorcycle gets ridden before it's cleared. Right outside the York plant is a controlled riding course. Veteran riders, some with decades of factory experience, take each bike out for a short but thorough test ride. They lean into corners, hit the brakes hard, and rev the engine through each gear. If there is a rattle, a wobble, or any mechanical hesitation, they know it instantly. Only after this test, after the bike has proven itself on the road, is it finally cleaned, polished, and wheeled into the final staging area. Now it's time for packaging and shipping. The bike is secured to a custom shipping pallet. Frame brackets tightened, wheels strapped down. Protective foam is added to vulnerable areas, and a clear film is wrapped over painted surfaces. Each bike is tagged with a destination code: New York, California, France, Japan. The AMF era was global, and Harley-Davidsons were being shipped to over 70 countries. Large trailers and shipping containers filled with these bikes leave the York facility every day. Some went to showrooms, others to military bases. Some were already spoken for, pre-ordered by riders who had been waiting months. Outside the plant, rows of crated bikes line up like soldiers. The sun catches the chrome under the plastic wrap, and the smell of oil and gasoline lingers in the morning air. And just like that, a Harley-Davidson is born. Not just from metal and bolts, but from effort, from precision, from a factory that never stopped moving. York wasn't perfect. The AMF years had challenges, no one's denying that. But what happened inside this plant mattered. It was Harley's way of saying, we're not giving up. That quality could still be reclaimed. That American manufacturing still meant something. This was Harley's answer to adversity. A $1 million paint system, electrostatic spray tech that sealed Mylar under clear lacquer, a line that never stopped for 8 straight hours, quality checks at every turn, and a team of workers who believed in what they were building. In the end, York wasn't just a factory. It was a factory with a heartbeat, and every bike that rolled off its floor during the AMF era, whether it ended up in a suburban garage, a cross-country tour, or a soldier's ride overseas, carried a little bit of that heartbeat with it. Because back in the 1970s, a Harley didn't come off an app or a touchscreen. It came from here, from York. And you couldn't talk about this factory without talking about the people. Yes, the AMF era had its flaws. Quality control issues, labor strikes, and missed deadlines. But the factory was filled with people who genuinely loved motorcycles. Machinists, welders, painters, test riders. They all took pride in what they built. Many rode Harleys themselves. They'd ride their bikes to work, park them in neat rows outside the plant, and then spend the next 8 hours building more. And this wasn't just a job. It was a bond. Fathers worked alongside sons. Retired veterans shared advice with new hires. There was grit here, brotherhood. And when you saw that finished bike rumble to life and roll into its crate, you felt something. What do you think was the best era for Harley-Davidson? Is it the pre-AMF era, AMF era, or the post-AMF era? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for more motorcycle videos.